we're going to do now, having set the stage. Now, I should go back one other moment here. At the time of Logan's attack, at the time of McGinnis's attack, at the time they break the Confederate left, at the time that Stevenson's men reach the Jackson Road, Grant is feeling good about it. And he's going to tell Logan, hey, go down and tell Logan he's making history today. But a short time later, with the Confederates approaching, Grant begins to consider getting out of here. The Union wagon trains are turning around, heading back to the Jackson Road and back toward Bolton. But unfortunately, there are more Yankees. Crocker is right at the right time, and the Union will win the decisive field engagement of the Vicksburg campaign. But we're going to go now to the crossroads and walk to the crest of Champion Hill. That part of the battlefield that starts with the Confederates, seized by the Union, recovered by the Confederates, and then recovered again by the Union. Between there and the crossroads are where the decisive part of the battle will be. Now the armies will move on. Hovey's division has lost a third of the Union casualties are from Hovey's division. So they get to stay behind for a day, policing up the battlefield before they move on to Vicksburg. So we're on very decisive ground, very sacred ground to Civil War enthusiasts and to the American people, and it is as it has been since the early 1850s, has been much of it in the custody of one family, and we have the fifth generation of it standing here. The first said was on Pemberton's staff. Why? Because he's familiar with the area. Then near the end of July, the Champion House, which stood in this area, which the only survivor is this large oak tree, will be burned, and the champions will come back to the land after the Civil War and will build a new house about three-quarters of a mile north and west of us, and that is the house I can well remember, and I can well remember I can remember said champions the third, and I can remember said champion the fourth grandmother and his grandmother who both lived in the old Champion House. And she remembers when Colonel Counts of the 57th Ohio in Slack's brigade comes back here, and I used to sit down in the parlor, and Mrs. Birdsong, as her name was then, would tell her how horrified she was about 1907 when Colonel Counts comes there, and just like a woman showing her knee, Counts puts his leg up on the table, pulls up his pants above his knee, and shows her his cork leg, and tells her my leg was amputated on that table. Now where's the table?
That table is now located at my home in Clinton, and with the leaves that were on it, and the man's blood stains are still there to be seen on the bottom side of the tables, and it will be on display out here on May the 18th when we have the 150th anniversary program right on this spot.
Now, when I left here, now since the fifth grandfather I believe he dies, and Rebecca or Sid can close me, in the summer of 56.
58.
58. So I knew him during the winter of 50. I knew him from 56 to 57. And then, but when I leave here in 66, Mrs. Birdsong is still of good mind and quite feisty. And,
Extremely.
And I remember your gentle mother talking there a number of times in the parlor. Since we got a shorter time, we'll thank Sid, thank Becky, thank their colleague for getting us on this property, and particularly Becky and Sid for being good custodians. Now, if you look at this map here that we're using, what is in brown and what is in blue is protected. Is part either owned by the Department of Archives and History or by the Friends or other groups. So you can see a considerable part of the battlefield has been preserved, but there are certain sections that are not. Any questions? All right, let's